Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. I don't know if that stop was worth it or not to get the camera set up. All right, as you can see, I am on the prosperity.com weight loss program. That's prosperready.com. I'm out here taking a walk. Let's see if I can walk and talk at the same time. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I think I'm gonna have to stop, which, you know, that's okay too, right? It's a nice day. I'm wearing my line 1 and line 2 gear, our Minuteman gear, if you will, and I was gonna take a road march today, and I started out walking down the trails and the roads, of which we have a couple miles worth here on Shofar Mountain. And then, you know, it's a beautiful day. I mean, look at that. You see that? And yes, I left at dawn. And so I decided I wanted to walk through the woods. And that was fun. It's different. You don't go as fast, but you use different muscles, because, you know, your body's going up hills and down hills and over logs and stuff. And so that's good. I'm sure my body will have a conversation with me about today's walk later. But yeah, it was cold this morning. I got up early. I've gotten up early the last 2 days, and I got up early today. And let's do that, it'll be easier to carry it. And like 3 o'clock early. Yesterday I got up at 2:30, and I got a lot done. A lot in the house. I did Bible study. I did some work. Checked up on the news. I'm reading the comments on the latest YouTube video, and they're mostly positive, so that's cool. Picked up that kind of stuff, and then dawn came, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go ruck. Today's Tuesday. Tuesday is ruck day. And then at the last minute, I decided to bring you all along. All right, there we go. Now we can move. So, what's the point? I don't know. It's nice out in the woods. I wish you could do this too every day. You probably can. I'm looking at this right here thinking, well, I'd make good kindling. I worked in the Pentagon for a while. Office job. Lots of commute. Lots of deer. I'm not gonna sneak up on them like this. Lots of commute time. Lots of people. Very built up urban area is Northern Virginia, and I still found time to get out in this stuff. We used to go, I lived in Fairfax County for a while, which then was very liberal. Now it's probably downright communist, but one thing they did have going for them was parks, and I got the idea there that if I ever became governor, every road improvement project would include a multi-use trail that people could jog and walk and ride bikes on and stuff. Because they had a lot of those. And they had a lot of parks. And I was running back then, ultra running. And so I had to train a lot. And I ran on paths, not in the straight up woods like this. There were little paths going through the forest. Which, one of the things I did this morning was go through some old notebooks. And I love finding old to-do lists. Yeah, I'm stopping and talking. I like finding old to-do lists, and I found 3. 2016, 2017, 2018. Fall, winter to-do lists. And all 3 of them had these 3 different trails that we want to build out here on the list, because they haven't been done. And honestly, it made it on the 2018 list, It's not going to happen this winter. I really don't think it is. But so I used to run on the trails, and then every now and then the family and I, me, the wife and kids, would go out there and walk in the woods like this. The thing about Northern Virginia, it's had people on it for a long time, and there were old cabin sites and mills, and they're at a place called something Mill. I can't remember it now. But they had this big pond that they had dug by hand. I'm talking like 1800s. A big shallow pond. And they would divert the creek into it in the wintertime. And it would freeze solid, this shallow pond. You know, about 2 feet deep. Oh, look at that. Hold on, I'll show you this. You see that? Deer poop. It would freeze solid, and then they would come in and cut it up with saws. And there was an old ice house there that they would put this ice in. And it was just this huge, deep, round pit that they would line with sawdust on the bottom, then ice, then more sawdust, then ice, then more sawdust, and they'd pack this whole thing up before summer. And you know, that thing would keep ice until summertime. Old technology that really just takes, I'm going up here where I think I see a big deer rub, that just takes, you know, work to do. They used to saw things by hand, so there was, well, sawdust. I guess you get sawdust even when you don't saw by hand, right? Oh yeah, that's a, can you see the deer rub? You probably can't from here. When you're actually in the woods, they stand out like beacons. I'll show you. I know I'm digressing, but I'm bird walking. But yeah, they had an old ice thing there, and we'd walk around those woods and see deer. They were almost tame, and find old home sites. Every now and then we'd find an old Revolutionary or Civil War era map, like in a library or a book or something, and it would show houses, and we'd kind of, oh yeah, this is deer area. Look at that. Can you see that? It would show old house sites and stuff that were now in what was parks. Walney Pond, I think it was called, maybe. And we'd go find them. And you could see these daffodils in the spring growing up because they just produce and produce and produce. Somebody at some point had a house site there, and I planted daffodils, and they kept going. Oh, I am in the area of Proto-Shofarian man. I know exactly where I am now. First, the rub. You see that? You can see that, right? I really wish I had a camera I could just flip the view screen around. And then here, it's an old fire ring, and even an old set of firewood that somebody gathered. We've had events down here, training events, things like that, mostly training. And every now and then I find the old stuff. So yeah, walking through the woods is fun, and you can do it even when you have, you know, the grind, the cubicle grind. You just got to make time for it. Now, you may not be able to do it every day like I do, but you can make time, and you should. Because here's another thing. Excuse me. I just did a video, right, on men being men, and how at heart we're warrior hunters. I think we are. And to those of you here on Patreon that I offended, I wasn't trying to. And I paint with a broad brush. I say things bombastically for effect. I don't have the time, and it would be boring to go into all the subtle nuances. But of course men can cook, right? I cook well. I used to be a cook, like paid. I'm going to show you this. And actually, I think I'm going to stop walking while I'm talking. This is one of the trails we wanted to do in these woods. Right through here. I call it the 40-acre line. And at one time, there used to be a barbed wire fence right through here, right behind me. And I've marked it with these. And there's actually a stone, I don't know that you'd call it wall. Here, this, can you see that? And it goes the whole way. I think it was like a tractor trek or something. But, so one, get outside and play, right? Go out there and work your body. Oh, the hunter warrior. You can't have all the cool kit in the world, men, and decide, yeah, when the time comes, I will rise to the challenge. You will not. You'll fall by the wayside and go, wait for me, wait for me. On the plains of hesitation lie the blackened bones of countless millions who, at the dawn of victory, sat down to rest, and resting, died. How about that? No rest. I started watching last night, March or Die, an old movie. Gene Hackman looks young and kind of fit in it, about the French Foreign Legion. I'd never seen it before, and I probably got about 20 minutes into it, and then it was 7:30 and it was time for me to go to sleep. Right? Truth. So I fell asleep, which is why I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning and got busy. But you know, there's a reason soldiers, at least in the US military, and I'm sure in all militaries, in most militaries, they do physical training. They're already young. You know, most soldiers are like between 18 and 27 probably. The leadership is probably in their 30s, and 40 is old for a combat arms soldier. That's old. And so they're already fit and young. And yet, you know, 3 times a week they're out there running, doing push-ups and sit-ups, and twice a week they're out there carrying rucksacks or something like that, you know, for speed along a road. Why? To stay fit, to keep the muscles going, to keep them strong. I remember I was the nickname was a scout swim team commander. Maritime operations is what we called it. But one of our jobs was to be able to infiltrate a foreign place by swimming in. And so you would either get off a helicopter or a boat or something way offshore, and you'd swim in with your rucksack. Oh yes. And we wore fins, and I'm telling you, that was hard to maintain that fitness. We were already super fit. I mean, come on, we were Green Berets. But when we became a scout swim team, maritime operations, we had to start actually working on our swimming every week, because simple things like, you know, here's your foot, right, like that. Well, it only bends about that far. It can't bend like a hand, right? Your foot only, you know, you can point your toes. Well, when you have fins on, that's what you're doing. Actually, like this, and it hurts the right there at your ankle foot interface. It gets sore when you're not used to it. And so we would go finning. What we would do was we would ruck 7 miles on Thursdays to the pool, and in addition to our rucks, we had our fins on our rucks. We'd go to the pool, we'd drop our rucks, and we'd fin for 45 minutes. And these fins were like as fast as you could fin in the water, swimming around the pool and around the pool and around the pool and around the pool, as fast as you could go for 45 minutes. It was a smoker. Then guess what we got to do? Oh yes, put the fins on and walk 7 miles back. Thursdays were fun. And you know what? I'm lying. It was 7 miles when we went to the pool and around the airfield. It was about 3.5 there and 3.5 back. Something like that. Yeah, that's more what it was like. 3.5 there, 3.5 back. Still, the walk back was horrible. You know, it's always cold in Fort Lewis. So, but the bottom line is we had to do that in order to be able to take the call, you know, one night after supper, your phone rings, you get alerted, you come in, and the next thing you know, you're infiltrating a foreign country doing the deed. Yeah, you don't get fit overnight. You got to stay that way for that mission. So it's the same thing on a smaller scale. If you think you're going to have to defend hearth and home, and you know you've got all your cool kit and stuff, yeah, you better get out there and play with it. You better get out there and play with it. And I'm stretching here for women, right? I guess I'm on a man kick lately. But women, if you think, and you don't now, you think that you're going to bake all your family's bread. Man, did I lose a glove? I wore gloves. I hear one of you in my head, wear gloves, Pastor Joe. I did, and I took them off at the creek when I walked up here and hung them in my LBE. And I only have one. Oh no. Well, I'll walk back there after this. But if you think you're gonna bake bread every day for your family without your blender and your bread making machine, I suggest you do it a little bit. Why don't you do it 4 days in a row? Oh yeah, you'll find muscles you didn't use before. My grandma would probably win arm wrestling contests. Sister Kate has really strong forearms. You know, that woman carries buckets. You know, guys in gyms call it the farmer's carry, right? Carry these barbells and walk and lunge and do these things. Well, Sister Kate carries 5-gallon buckets of water and feed and stuff all the time. And while she's not lunging every step with it, she goes over ditches with it. She steps over logs. She walks up hills and down hills because we don't live on a parking lot. Yeah, so she's got muscles she didn't used to have too. And I'm telling you, if you thought you were just going to throw yourself into that lifestyle and thrive, if you haven't been training for it, you won't do well. Train as you fight. Train as you plan to fight. Somehow it turned into a fitness video. I know that bores a lot of you, but you can do all kinds of things and it can be fun. It doesn't have to be, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna walk and talk. I'm gonna leave my ruck here and I'm gonna walk and talk and go look for my glove because I gotta get back to the house. I got stuff to do. I can't walk and talk because I have to scan for the glove. All right, so get out in the woods. I'm sorry, this is disjointed. I resolved to do better, okay? Another thing, it was cold this morning. I really didn't want to get out there, and I knew though from experience, you don't need a lot of clothes on when you're doing something like this. If you're colder, walk faster. You don't have to carry a ruck if you're not used to carrying a rucksack. Just start moving your body and walking. Get out there, enjoy nature. This is a great time to be in the woods. In our area, there's no hunters right now. There's no ticks, there's no chiggers, there's no snakes. So yeah, get out and enjoy some life. You can go after work. I used to run every day after work. I usually finished up in the dark. Oh yes. I don't even know if I'm gonna post this video. I didn't have a real point. It's just me, my life this morning. Welcome. All right, I'll see y'all out there.